If you're in the CRM space, you've probably heard this question before. How do I get my marketing and sales data to actually talk to each other? Or maybe you've experienced this pain firsthand, manually exporting and importing it, having stale lists, and your sales team not knowing which leads are actually engaging. We hear that all the time. And so today I want to show you how SugarChimp solves that. Before we actually dive into a demo of SugarChimp, let me paint you a picture. Most companies are running with their CRM on one side and Mailchimp on the other, and they're not connected. And so marketing is constantly managing lists in Mailchimp. They're having to manually export from Sugar, import it into Mailchimp. The lists that they're working with may be weeks or months old. Meanwhile, your sales team is completely in the dark. They don't know which of their leads just opened an email from marketing or clicked a link or are actively engaging with your campaigns. And that information could be gold. It's a buying signal, but it's stuck in Mailchimp and it's not flowing back to the CRM. And so this is kind of where SugarChimp comes in. What it does at its core is it creates a bidirectional sync between your CRM and Mailchimp, and that means that data flows both ways automatically. SugarChimp has a lot of benefits, which we'll walk through today, but the top three we hear about most commonly are first, up-to-date contact information. When a new contact gets added to the CRM, they can automatically be synced to Mailchimp along with all the relevant fields, and then the Mailchimp list is always clean and always current. Second, marketing can use CRM data to segment like they've never been able to do before. So things like industry, company size, stage of buying process, customer tier, whatever fields are in your CRM, SugarChimp can map those to Mailchimp. Now, marketing can segment campaigns based on real CRM data, and instead of generic email blasts, they can send highly targeted personalized campaigns, which can lead to higher open rates, higher click rates, and higher conversions. And then the third benefit that we hear about most frequently is that buying signals come straight back to sales. So when someone opens an email, clicks a link, or engages with your campaign, that data displays or syncs back to your CRM automatically. So your sales team can see it right there in the contact record in real time. So today we're going to walk through what it looks like to install SugarChimp, also where the average user can see SugarChimp on the CRM and on the Mailchimp side. So by the time we're done with this, you'll be able to confidently understand the value of SugarChimp. SugarChimp is installed similar to any other plugin or add-on that you've had. You do it through the module loader. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to install. And then it walks you through a setup process, which you can also find down here in the SugarChimp section. Basically, it will ask you for your license key that you get when you start the trial, and then you enter in your Mailchimp credentials, which allows the two systems to connect. And whatever credentials you use, they're just the Mailchimp admin or owner on the Mailchimp side. The next step is kind of setting up your first list. So we're going to walk through that first, and then I'll show you where you see the integration kind of day to day. So the first thing is you're going to tell the integration what data needs to sync. So we're going to set up a list first. And the way that SugarChimp works on the back end is that it's pairing a target list on the Sugar side with a Mailchimp audience. And it's a one-to-one relationship. So you can have one target list that's going to that one audience, but you can also have more than one list. And so it really depends on your workflow. It's just worth noting that it's a one-to-one relationship. So you could have one list that has all of your contacts, targets, and leads on it going to this one audience, or you could have one list for your leads and another list for your contacts. We recommend using as few lists as possible to get the job done. That will save you money and aggravation and kind of managing your lists. The next step is to tell the integration who you want to sync over to Mailchimp. So you'll see we have contacts, targets, and leads here. All of the options are the same for them. This first option here, this is our manual option. So in this scenario, you'll add records to the target list when you want them to sync over to Mailchimp, and then you'll remove them from the target list if they should no longer be in Mailchimp. This second option here is if you know that you just want to sync everybody. So here you could sync all of your contacts over. You just want them to automatically get over to Mailchimp. What this will do is SugarChimp will kind of monitor your CRM. It will see when a new contact is added. It will add them to the target list on your behalf, and then it will sync them over to Mailchimp. Third and fourth options here are if you have a subset of people that you want to go over to Mailchimp. So for example, maybe you have 100,000 leads, but you're only actively campaigning to people with a certain lead status. No problem. Here you would set the fields that you want to filter by, or if you need something a little bit more advanced, you could write a SQL query to get those over. And in this scenario, SugarChimp again is going to monitor your CRM. When they meet the criteria, it'll add them to the target list. And when they no longer meet the criteria, it will remove them from the target list so they're no longer subscribed on the Mailchimp side. Next, because it is a bidirectional sync, you'll tell the integration when records are added on the Mailchimp side, how should they come over when they sync back to Sugar. So for example, if you're using landing pages or web forms, or maybe you're adding someone manually on the Mailchimp side, do you want them come over to Sugar as a contact, a target, or a lead? This is a way that a lot of people will gather new subscribers or gather new leads. So then we can sync them back over to Sugar and you can kick off whatever process you have on the Sugar side. Next is the field mapping process. So first we told the integration who to sync over to Mailchimp, and now we're going to tell the integration what to sync over to Mailchimp. So here's where you'll select the list that you're syncing, and along the left-hand side are all the fields that we've created on the Mailchimp side in order to receive the data. We have lots of support materials that walk through this, and we're also happy to help with any questions. But basically, it's just a matter of matching up the field that belongs to that. So for example, for first name, I've got it paired with my first name in Sugar, or date created, I want that to go to the join date field. One thing that's worth noting is that we can sync anything at the contact, the target, or lead level. We can also bring data from certain related modules over. For example, if this contact is associated with an account and we want to bring over that account name or account industry or account type, we can do that. The next thing that I'll show you is I'm going to briefly show you the health status page, and this is kind of where you keep an eye on how the integration is doing. So you'll see here we have our queues of data that's pending to and from Mailchimp, and we have your list down here at the bottom. So right now I'm only syncing one list, but if I had multiple of them, you'd see all the list here. I can click remove sync. So if I no longer need this list to be syncing, I can come over here and click remove sync. The other thing that I want to tell you about the health status page is that we use the scheduler to kind of keep data up to date. We have two schedulers that run. The first one is the Smart List scheduler. This is the one responsible for keeping the target list up to date. So for example, if you're syncing all contacts or you're using our filters in order to keep target lists up to date, then the Smart List is the one that's responsible for putting records from your CRM onto the target list. And then once they're on the target list, we have another scheduler. Also, it runs by default every 5 minutes. It is our SugarChimp scheduler, and it's the one responsible for actually sending the data over to Mailchimp. So for example, from the point that a new contact is added to the point that it gets over to Mailchimp, it'll take about 10 minutes because it'll go through that first Smart List scheduler and then through the SugarChimp scheduler. And that's everything that you need to do to install and set up SugarChimp. We typically tell people that to install and set up their first lists, it will take less than an hour. Most of our customers, it will take about 30 minutes. It really depends on how many fields you're syncing and if you've got them already set up and ready to go, or if you're not quite sure what fields you need to sync, it may take a little bit of time to just kind of think through what would be relevant in Mailchimp. Now let's talk about where you see SugarChimp kind of on the day-to-day. So the first place is this Mailchimp campaign summary that appears on the dashboard. Here are all the campaigns that we've sent. And then I can click to see the email itself. So if I wanted to see what that email said, or if you have people who are just kind of nosy, maybe people live in Sugar, they don't have a Mailchimp account, but they just kind of want to know how marketing is doing, they can get an overview of every campaign. So they can say how many people opened or clicked into it. It's worth noting that I can't click this 3 and see the 3 people who opened this email. That information is available. It's just not at this view. This is really just kind of designed to be an overview. And I'll show you where to find that in a moment. The next place is at the record level. So contact, target, lead, or account. Here we're at a contact, and the first thing that you'll notice is here on the dashlet, you'll see the list that they're subscribed to as well as campaign activity. So I can see that they were sent a campaign and then they opened the campaign, then they clicked on a link in the campaign. And if I wanted to see the link that they clicked on, that information is available as well. This is a real-time call. So every time I open this page, we're reaching out to Mailchimp, we're grabbing the latest data, and we're displaying it here in the dashlet. The next place that you'll see SugarChimp is down here within the Mailchimp rating field. So Mailchimp has an algorithm to determine how engaged your subscribers are, and we will bring that over and display it on the record itself. So some of our customers will use this, for example, for running a report of their hot leads, maybe everybody with 4 stars or above. Those are the people who are their most engaged subscribers. The next place that you see SugarChimp is down here at the Mailchimp activity subpanel. Now, you'll probably notice that this information is actually the same that's over here in the dashlet. The difference with this subpanel is that instead of just displaying the information like we're doing in the dashlet, we're actually syncing this information back to your CRM. And a couple of things that are worth noting about this. One, because of the sheer volume of the data that we could be syncing back and to not overwhelm the CRM, we will grab this data once every 24 hours. So this dashlet will have the latest up-to-date information, while this data that we're syncing back may have up to a 24-hour delay. So it's really best for reports, which is the next thing that you can do with this information and where you can kind of see that interactive data like everybody who clicked on a campaign that we mentioned before. So Mailchimp Activities becomes a reportable module once you install SugarChimp. So when you install SugarChimp, we will start 2 reports to get you kind of started. And this is one of the reports. So this is where you could see everybody who opened a certain campaign or everybody who clicked on a certain link. We also bring over the link that they clicked on. And you could also build your own custom report. So you could build a report of Mailchimp data alongside Sugar data. So you could build a report that says everybody who clicked on a certain link that's also in a certain region, for example, and that could go to a certain sales rep, depending on whatever workflow you're needing. Next, let's turn to Mailchimp. So the biggest thing that we now have in Mailchimp are your marketing people are working in Mailchimp. It's their preferred app, and they can see all of this beautiful CRM data that's pulled directly from your CRM instance, and it's up to date. So a couple of things that's worth noting on this side, because it's a bidirectional sync, if I come in and I update one of these fields, so maybe I update a name or a birthday, that information is going to sync back to the CRM. We use a webhook to send that data, so it's almost instant how quickly that is updated on the CRM side. The only exception to that is account level information. So because account level data could impact more than one record, you might have multiple contacts that are associated with an account. We want to protect the integrity of your data, so we don't make any changes when it comes to account level information. The other thing that will sync back is the marketing status. So if they're opted in, you'll see that on the CRM side, of course. But if they unsubscribe, we'll sync that back to your CRM and mark them as opted out. We use the built-in Sugar tool for that. And then if an email bounces multiple times and Mailchimp marks them as cleaned, we'll sync that back to the CRM and we'll mark that email as invalid. A couple of places where SugarChimp really comes into play in Mailchimp. The first are segments. So you could target everybody who has a certain contact type or status or region or industry. You can really target your campaigns to go to just the right people. The other thing that you can do is personalize your campaign. So here I'm using that data and I'm pulling in their first name and the sales rep that they're assigned to, as well as their account level information in order to really personalize the email itself so that they really get the feeling that you truly know them. This is a great way to personalize your campaigns. Mailchimp also has something called dynamic content, where you could have a whole section here that only displays for certain people who have a certain field. So for example, I could pull over and put in a video that only will display to people with a certain industry. And that way you could personalize it based on the industry that they're in. The next place that SugarChimp can really come in handy are automations. So here I am in a customer journey, and I can kick off this journey when the contact type changes to employee. Once that happens, then I want it to send an email. And after that email is sent, I want it to update the lead status to something else, which will then sync back to your CRM. So you can kind of have the two systems play off each other depending on what your workflow is and how you need to send the information back and forth between teams. That's the basics of SugarChimp. If you have questions or you want to see something a little bit more in depth, feel free to reach out to us at mailchimp@fanaticallabs.com. We do have free 30-day trials, so if you're a hands-on person like I am and you want to kind of just play with it, it's worth noting that we can support all of the Mailchimp plans. So even if you grab a free trial over at Mailchimp, SugarChimp can be installed and used with that as well to just kind of give you a glimpse of what it can do. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know.